Welcome everybody. This is Jolo. This is Jolo Talk. Today we have somebody special with us. We have Monica Hahn, and she is the independent franchise owner of two Element Massage Studios. One is in Walnut Creek, and the other one is in Greenbrae. Those are in California. Hi, Monica. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us today.
My pleasure.
All right. So, first of all, can we get to know a little bit about you?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I own two Elements massage studios. I have owned the Walnut Creek studio for 3 years. We opened in January of 2017. And my other studio is in Greenbrae, which is in Marin County, and we've had that one for 5 years. That one we bought from the previous owner. And prior to getting into this world, I spent a whole career doing marketing for lots of big companies, most of which operated at a completely different end of the wellness continuum, if you will. I spent a lot of time in the restaurant world and also did some work in childcare, which isn't interesting because I don't have children of my own, but it was a great little opportunity for me to experience what it was like working in a business where you felt passionate that it was actually good for the people that you served. And it was something that people needed, unlike fat and sugar water. So at some point I got to a point where I just realized I was done with the corporate world. That's a topic for a whole nother podcast. But at that point, I did some consulting for a while and then decided I wanted to own my own business. And a major filter for me as I was looking for a business was I wanted to go back to doing something that I really believed in and something that made a positive difference in people's lives. So I found Elements through the help of a consultant, and I was attracted to them because really two things. One was that they started the conversation by asking about my values, and like they too were looking for people who shared their value of improving the lives of everyone they touch. And the more I got to know about the brand, I felt that they were more focused on doing things in a way that were more customer friendly, but they achieve that by being more employee friendly. So they recognize that to provide the best service to their customers, they needed to be an employer of choice and provide the best environment for their massage therapists. So I really have enjoyed working with the brand, and like I said, I've been doing it for about 5 years now. And so that's kind of my journey. And when I'm not doing massage, the other passion in my life is that I'm a board member with Asante Africa Foundation, which does education work in East Africa.
Oh, that's great. I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And is it kind of like drastic change of career, you may say, when you switch to owning a massage studio?
In
How
some
how
ways, yes.
how drastic was that, or was it simple to just switch?
I would not say it was simple. And it was pretty drastic, but there were probably more parallels than people would expect. I mentioned that I spent a lot of my career in the restaurant world, and it was also I worked for Burger King for a long time. I worked for Einstein Noah's Bagels. So I knew a lot about small businesses from that because all of the franchisees, all the clients that I worked with in that business were small business owners. But it's so different being on the other side of that fence. And, I like one of the things that I've always in my whole career loved most about my work was managing people and helping people develop their skills and talents and stuff. But managing the employees in a massage studio is incredibly different from any of the previous management work I did.
Yeah, how can you like the biggest comparison you can take from working on those two mm, yeah areas, you may say, what's the biggest thing you get from one or the other, as in working with employees under the I guess the stress level and the pressure and the circumstances of the massage studio are different from the stress level, circumstances, and every day of the restaurant business.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that those businesses have in common, of course, is working with people. And, my philosophy on customer service has always been try to put yourself in their shoes and think about, if a customer's being grouchy, why are they being grouchy? And like, never take it personal and just try to see past that and make it your goal to move them past it and make them feel better. And, when somebody comes into a restaurant and is grouchy, a lot, who knows what's contributing to that. But a lot of times they're in the midst of a stressful day. When somebody comes into a massage studio and is grouchy, it's easy to just like remind yourself they're coming in because they're stressed or because they're in pain. And are any of us at our best when those things are happening to us? No. So I think just like trying to put yourself in the customer's shoes is always important. And I think the other thing that's really important is in terms of managing people is I try to, as much as I can, I always assume positive intent. And so if somebody's
So
frustrating
important.
me, if somebody's frustrating me, whether it's a client or an employee, I remind myself, they're not, get over yourself, Monica. You're not so important in their life that they're doing what they're doing because they're super motivated by frustrating you. Like, they've got something going on. So take a step back, find out what's going on, and know that they're coming from some place of positive intent. And if somebody's complaining that they don't want to do things the way you want them to, then listen and find out, why don't they want to do it that way? What's behind that? Or sometimes it's just, I had an employee once who was being somewhat unreasonable. And, as we sat down and we talked, I found out her husband was really sick, and she hadn't shared that because she was trying to be private. But, everybody's got something going on in their life, and you don't know what they walk through the door with.
At some point, it will go through some outlet, and you never
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and excuse me. After 5 years now working in the massage business, I can only guess you have seen a lot through your clients, through this business, you may say. And I've been related to massage for just a little over a year now, and in my life, it's been uh, wow, a blessing in all ways. So um, and that's kind of like the main reason I wanted to talk to you about self care and massage, is because until I came across massage, I saw it as something that wasn't for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I saw massage as something that was just for either rich people or yeah, for the country club, some like something like that. And now that I know the difference, um, like yeah, I wanted to talk to you about like elements, for example, like what Well, who are the clients that go to Elements?
All kinds of people. And I'll tell you, I also used to be a person, I enjoyed massage. I loved massage, but I maybe got a massage once a year. I thought it was something to treat myself with, but it was definitely not a part of my regular everyday wellness routine. Um, and now that I've been getting regular massage for a long time, I can't imagine going back to that. Like our customers are every kind of person. I mean, I could tell you about averages and say that, it's slightly more likely to be a female than a male, and they tend to be middle age. But in reality, my youngest member I've ever had was 9 years old. And I've had a member who was getting ready to celebrate her 100th birthday.
Wow.
Um, and everything in between. And I would say people are more likely to become members. And a member is somebody that is pretty much committing to getting a massage at least once a month. And so they tend to be at least in their 30s, because a lot of people don't start thinking about wellness until then. And then the exception, the ones that are younger that do it, are either people who've had injuries or people who have a heightened sense of importance for wellness because they're personal trainers, or because sometimes they're medical professionals. So that tends to be when we get people that are younger. Otherwise, people start coming to us mostly in their 30s. And everyone I've ever seen who didn't used to get massage regularly that decides, you know what, I'm going to do this now. Once they become a member, they say, God, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yes, in my case, um as I told you, I discovered massage just over a year as a regular care option, and I've been meditating for, I don't know, like over 4 years now, and like for the relaxation of the body had never been the same after I started getting regular massages, because I could only tell my body to relax so much, but I never knew how how really to relax my body until
Right.
I experienced a massage, and I was told by a massage therapy, like, hey, this is how your muscles is supposed to feel when it's relaxed. So
Yeah.
even after that, now the benefit of my meditation is amplified just by that.
Right.
So what other benefits that people may not even know?
Well, the first thing I'll say is, to your point, massage is like diet and exercise in that you get the most benefit out of it if it becomes a regular habit. If you go do one really good workout once a year, you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel it for a while afterwards, and not in a good way. And it's not going to do you a whole lot of benefit, because it's just going to go back to where it was. Same thing with diet, and same thing with massage. As you get massage more regularly, it you stop going back to zero, basically. And some of the benefits of massage that people, I think, are aware of are things like relaxation, and it can help recover the pain that you got from that strenuous workout. Um, but some of the things people may not realize is that it increases your circulation, it stimulates the lymph system, and one of the benefits of that that's pretty topical right now is that the lymph system is your body's natural defense against toxins. So the most recent research on massage shows that it's actually benefits your immune system. It improves your range of motion, and can really help both your muscles and your joints have less inflammation. And inflammation is also key to fighting viruses and other toxins that are out there. So it can help you be more flexible. Also, like people who suffer from migraines get a great deal out of massage. And then there are various enhancements to your massage that people choose because they have other specific benefits. So things like some people like aromatherapy, and depending on what type of scent you add to your massage, aromatherapy can help. It can intensify the relaxation effect, or it can energize you depending on the scent. And then other treatments, like we have a CBD herbal ritual, which really helps reduce inflammation and enhance relaxation. It can really help fight insomnia. And it's THC free, so you get all
You
the
don't
benefits.
get the high.
No high. And
Boo.
we have hot packs, or we have hot stones, and those can also help to soften your muscles more quickly so that you can get a deeper massage faster. And the hot stones that we use are Himalayan salt stones. And the Himalayan salt has over 80 different types of minerals that also get shared with your skin. So that's healthy as well. So there's just the more research that gets done about massage, the more benefits we find.
Benefit.
And one of the things that I have found really amazing recently is that honestly, the bulk of the benefit you get from massage is really about the connection with another human being. It's not
Oh, yeah.
even about the muscle work. Like that's huge in and of itself. But I think people underestimate the value of that connection and the value of touch.
Oh, yeah. Especially in
I
this
think
time.
everybody's right now I think everybody's really suffering from the lack thereof.
Oh, yes. I can wait for, to get my massage.
Yeah.
And actually, I wanted to ask you about that. Now that we are um experiencing this reclusion, basically, what can we do to kind of like, I don't know, maybe stretch a little bit, like keep that maybe self-care going on in the
Yeah.
meantime?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I like nothing substitutes for a really good massage for me, but there are some things you can do. Depending on what you're feeling, for sure, check out stretches. And there are lots of places on the web that you can go to find good stretches to do. In particular, with a lot of people working from home and typing on their laptop on their couch, like I've been doing all morning. Neck stretches are great. And the other thing that happens is your shoulders get rounded forward. So
Oh, yeah.
look for pec stretches. The pecs are your chest muscles that are just below your collarbone. And from being rounded forward, those muscles get really tight, and that transfers to cause shoulder pain and neck pain. So neck stretches and pec stretches are some of my favorite things to do. Also, definitely some arm stretches, ways to stretch out your forearms and your hands and your fingers. But then there's also some great self-massage tools. While we're on the subject of stretching, I would say look up yoga stretches as well. There's some great stretches there. I think the other thing that happens when people sit a lot is their hip flexors get tight. So look for ways to stretch your hip flexors. And you can just search on the internet and you'll find lots of good stretches. Some of the tools I like, there's some tools that look like a shepherd's hook, and they go by a bunch of different brand names. Yeah, I have one too. I'm looking at it across the room. That guy. And that,
I
so
copy you on this. I
yeah,
saw yours. I saw
put that in
yours
a
on the
frame
studio.
because I really like this particular one.
Yep.
Hold it up, and you should show people the little knobs. So
Yep. This one's
that little
nice.
knob is used to dig in, like you can use that to dig into your
Oh,
shoulder, but
yeah.
the other one's
And
on
it's
the other side.
so great. You can
The
go.
little ones on the other side, you can put on your neck on either side of your cervical spine.
Oh yes, yes.
And that's just so great for relieving neck tension. And I think that one's called the Body Back Buddy.
Yes, body bag.
Um, and I think you can get them on Amazon, Bed Bath and Beyond, a couple different places like that. But that's
I
my
got this
favorite one
on
I've
Amazon.
seen.
Yeah, I
Um,
copied this one from you. I saw the one you have on the studio.
Video, yeah.
It's like, oh,
Um,
sounds like an
yeah,
awesome video.
and I had a different one before, but it doesn't have as many of the little knobs on it, and those are crucial to getting into
Oh
some of
yeah,
your best knots. Another
I'm gonna
like
put the
really
link on
cheap
the show
way
notes.
is to use a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball. Ball is a little harder than a tennis ball, so people who like more pressure like that better. But stick it in a sock, like in the bottom of the sock, and that gives you a way to dangle it, and you can just like put it behind you and
Oh,
lean against the wall. You want to be careful about rolling around on it too much because you could actually, like, if you don't know what you're doing, you could damage the tissue. But it's usually not going to happen just from leaning against it. If you put 2 tennis balls in the sock, you now have a little guy that you can roll along either side of your spine or your neck.
no,
You
right.
can then also use that just to like rub on your thighs or whatever for some leg massage. And then there are, some really expensive tools too. There's something called a Hypervolt, and
Oh,
that company sells a self massager. They sell a vibrating ball and a vibrating. It's like a foam roller that vibrates, and those are awesome, but they're a couple $100 a piece. You can do a lot of good just with stretches and tennis balls and the back
yeah,
buddy.
things you have already in your house. You are on lockdown for a couple more weeks, maybe. Who knows? You,
And one of the most important tools you have is your feet. Get up on them, get off your bottom and onto your feet. If you're working at your home office, or even when you go back to the real office, set a little alarm on your phone to remind you to get up every hour and not find, I've done it myself where you're sitting on that couch and suddenly you look up and it's 5:30 and you're like, oh my God, I thought it was about 2. If you set a little reminder to get up and just take that conference call on the deck, like walk around. I have a friend who every time I talk to her on the phone, I have to tell her every now and then, like, slow down because you're walking so fast. You're out of breath and I can barely understand you. But every time she does a call, she goes out walking, and I think that's a great way to do it.
yeah, actually, it is. I mean, and let me ask you, how do you think is gonna be moving forward when, like, at least here in California, when where we are, how do you think it's gonna be like moving into going back to normality with the restrictions being lifted?
Yeah, the term normal has yet to be redefined. Um,
Yes.
but I think it's that fairly soon we're going to be able to go back to at least a world where we can work. I expect that for a long time in the near future, massage therapists will be wearing masks, and probably clients as well. At least where we are, clients will be wearing masks. Um, we will be staggering appointments so that we don't have as many people in the lobby at the same time. So I think the world is going to be a little strange for people. It's going to feel a little lonely because even though they're able to get out and move about, like, businesses are going to structure things so that they aren't encountering as many people when
We
they're
don't
on.
get to see each other on the street.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't get to walk up and give people a hug. And
Yeah, that's
so it is going to be different. But, you know, on the one hand, massage by definition involves close contact with another person. But the good news is it's in a very controlled environment. Our massage takes place in private rooms. So it's just you and one other person. And if you're both
nobody
maxed
comes
up,
in, nobody comes out.
right?
Is yeah, just two people.
Yeah. We are going to have a lot more rigorous sanitation in between every massage. We've always had really strong sanitation policies, but now we'll actually be disinfecting the room entirely between every appointment, and that's not something we did before. Obviously, we changed out linens and things like that, but we didn't like give the whole room a wipe down after every appointment. And we'll be doing that now, but we have enough time between appointments to allow for that. Some other massage places don't have or didn't previously have much time between appointments, and so they're going to now find a need to build that in.
And everybody will need to restructure around the new order, basically.
Yes. And the knowledge on this subject is changing so fast, and the amount of information we have just grows exponentially. So as we learn more about the virus and how it's transmitted, and learn more about immunity and things like that, who knows how things will change over the next several months.
Yeah.
But I honestly also believe that allowing people to get back to work and allowing people to get back to massage is going to be important for their well-being as well.
Yes, yes. I really, really think that we need to be, we need the information. We need to be informed and be careful when we go out, and but at the same time we need to start getting to some normalcy, and we need to start being able to feel productive again in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think people who are at high risk are probably going to continue to stay at home to be safe for a long time. But there are also a lot of people who aren't high risk that are soon going to be able to get back to work and do other things.
Yeah, yes, and like you said, it's the whole world that is taking measures to prevent going back to where we were like a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's in a way easier for people to protect themselves because everybody is on board with it. So
Yeah.
it's not like
And
you just showing up with your mask and everybody looking weird at you. It's everybody's
right.
on it.
And one thing that has not changed is that our number one priority is keeping our clients and our team safe and healthy. And so that's going to continue to be the case. And I feel like we have the knowledge at this point to be able to provide massage services in a safe and healthy manner. And there are other element studios around the country that have opened this week, and we'll have a lot to learn from them as well as we see what goes on. But we wouldn't reopen if we didn't feel it was safe. We closed the day before the state told us we had to, because we felt at that point it was not safe. But we know a lot more now, and we've engaged experts from the CDC and epidemiologists and infectious disease specialists to help us develop our safety and disinfecting protocols. And we're really confident that we're doing everything we can to keep everyone safe and healthy.
And do you have an idea when are
When we're going to be allowed to reopen?
allowed to reopen? Yes.
Um, I don't. Well, right now, the order in our counties says through May 31st, we have to shelter in place. Some businesses are being allowed back gradually in between now and then, but our counties are pretty conservative about it. So I'm not too optimistic we'll get back before June 1st, but I'm really hoping we will be able to by then.
All right. And hopefully June 1st, let's say it happens like that, you open, start booking. What can clients expect when they go back to your studios?
Yeah, so we're let's say we open June 1st, probably a couple of days before that, we'll actually start calling clients to book appointments. And we will have a really strong screening question process. We're going to ask people, if they've had symptoms or been tested or been in contact with anybody who's been tested positive. And we're going to ask them when they book the appointment. We're going to ask when we confirm the appointment. And we're going to ask again when they arrive for the appointment. So clients are going to need to get used to being asked that, not just at
That's why I
lots of
wanted to
places
ask.
they go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to ask because I figured that's gonna be kind of like a new normal for
Yes.
all of us going pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah. And every
And
employee, every team member, every client will have their temperature taken when they arrive at the studio every time. And then we will ask clients once they get checked in like that. The first thing we're going to do is ask them to go to the restroom and wash their hands.
great.
And we are also going to ask them to wear a mask, and it will be their choice if they want to wear their own or one that we provide. And then their massage will happen, and basically once they're in the massage room, there will be very little different from before. They're going to get a great massage. After the massage, they'll check out pretty much as normally. We're going to try to minimize any sort of cash transactions. I just feel like every time you hand over money, that's another opportunity to hand over a germ, which is probably overkill, but so I don't know how that's going to affect tipping. My personal solution, because every therapist would prefer cash tips, my personal solution is to just warn the clients to make sure they bring the exact change they want for their tip, and have the therapist have a baggie in their massage room and
Minimize the contact.
Have the client put it in the baggie, and at the end of the day, they can take their money home and throw it in the washing machine. Because we've all lost money by accident before. Let's just do it on purpose now. That type of money laundering is illegal.
Well, that's great. So before we maybe move past this, what can you say to people going, because some of us are all right with this, everybody's going nuts in a way, but some of us are handling this better than others.
Yeah.
What can you tell to people who are really taking this, harshly than others?
I think two things come to mind. Three. I'm going to say three. One is gratitude. Make a point, dedicate some time every day to just sit down and think about what you have to be grateful for. There are lots of studies that show that reflecting and practicing gratitude is really good for you mentally and even physically. It sets the right hormones going that are going to help your day. So I recommend doing that every morning and every evening. Do it in the morning to start your day off right. Do it in the evening to just remember, go to bed believing you had a good day. Number two is don't be afraid to tell people what you need. It's no time to bottle up your feelings. If you're feeling stressed or anxious about it, you know someone in your life that you can talk to about that, and don't ever feel like you're a burden to them. Just call them, or like whatever way you're able to contact them right now, and talk to somebody about it. And then the third thing is to take advantage of this abnormal time to do something positive, do something, whether it's
Definitely.
you hear all kinds of stories about people who are making time to clean out their closet, or, go for a run.
They start a project in their house. They always wanted to remodel something, so they go ahead and do that.
Aside from the pure benefit of like that thing being done, whatever it is, there's also just an emotional benefit from having accomplished something.
Yes.
So those would be my three tips for feeling better about it on a bad day.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I wanted to move from this and talk because you mentioned at the beginning of the call that you are involved with a foundation.
Yes,
Can
Asante
you can
Africa
you
Foundation.
yeah, can you tell me a little more about
I'd
that?
love to. So Asante Africa Foundation has been around for a little over 10 years. It was founded by a woman named Erna Grass, who's in Livermore. And she went on a kind of a bucket list vacation to Kenya and Tanzania. And she was a, an accomplished Silicon Valley executive. She's an engineer by trade. And she, as part of her safari, she actually visited a school and like met this girl that she was so impressed with. But then the teacher told her confidentially that this girl was going to drop out because um, they don't have free education all the way through high school. You can go, your primary school is free, but secondary education is you have to pay school fees.
Oh,
And there are just tons and tons of kids who can't afford it. And in a lot of the rural communities are cultural traditions and things like that. And there hasn't necessarily always been a high value placed on education. And so she set out by being determined that this girl she met was not going to drop out of school because she couldn't afford the school fees for a couple $100s. And then she decided she was going to sponsor that girl. And
mhm.
then she started getting her friends to sponsor another person. And it kind of mushroomed from there. Um, and so it started out as really being about just providing scholarships, but then they realized that beyond money, there were um,
Other needs.
there were other inherent reasons kids weren't in school, like girls would stop going to school because their school didn't have toilets, and once girls reached the edge of menstruation, there were all kinds of reasons why they weren't going to be around. Or maybe the reason they weren't going to school was because um, they had to go, their village didn't have water, and the kids' job was to walk 13 miles to the nearest well and get water for the family every day. And that took up most of the day. So they didn't go to school. So, then they built some wells and they built some toilets. And, over the years, the focus has changed a little bit. But inherently, the organization is very focused on helping these communities do what they already know to do. Like, we don't build our own schools; they have schools. We don't we don't come in and try and fix things because things aren't broken. We don't come in and tell people what to do. We're really a catalyst, and so um, I think
Basically,
one of the most
you're there to support whatever they might need to
yeah, and
thrive.
and one of the key elements of it is that they have to be invested in their success themselves. So the families, we don't take over paying for their school. The families pay part of it, and the kids have to sign a contract that they're going to pay it forward. And so this pay it
That's
forward element is really amazing. And just using today as a really great example, and the kids aren't in school right now because schools are closed there too for the same reason they are here. So the kids are all banding together, and they're being the leaders to go out and educate their community on the importance of hand washing and sanitation. And they're the ones that are out there showing their communities how to stay safe and healthy. And they take what they learn from some of our leadership development programs, and then they take it out and they share it with the rest of their community. So while we might directly touch one person, that person's going out and touching 10, 20, 30, 50 more.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And how can people learn more about that?
Go to asanteafrica.org.
All right. And how
We also have
can
a great Facebook page where you can see lots of the stories about the individual kids and stuff.
oh, that's awesome. I will ask you for that information to put on the show notes too.
Yeah.
And how can people find elements and how can people find you?
Go to elementsmassage.com, and if you are wherever you are, if you know there's an Elements near you, their website will be elementsmassage.com, and then a slash, and then the name of the town they're in. So ours is elementsmassage.com/walnut-creek. But if you just go to elementsmassage.com, there's a button right at the top to find a studio near you. You can just put in your zip code and it'll show you the closest one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Monica. If there's anything else you want to add?
Now, everybody stay safe and healthy. It's been my pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Joel.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks.